3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to episode 118 of Ruse Radio, folks. We got a very special guest here today. Special guest. Please introduce yourself, sir.
Hi, I'm Mike Dwyer.
Mike Dwyer. And what is up? What is up?
Nothing, man.
Nothing.
How you doing? How you doing?
I'm good, man.
Yeah.
So you were just telling me about your job that you had where you were dealing with crisis calls and all that. So
Yeah.
How's that job? Like, if you had to rate that job on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you say?
Well, I mean, among other jobs, I mean, every job for me is like a 1. I don't like doing them.
Every job is a 1.
No.
You said that earlier too. And, you know, it makes me think when I work anywhere, I have this like bad relationship with workplaces where every time I lose a job, I'm like, this is okay. Like, I'm all right with this. It's, you know what? Life's probably trying to tell me to do something else. Like, I probably shouldn't be here my whole life.
Yeah, right.
I have like this bad relationship. Like, if I lose my job, I always think, well, like maybe that was supposed to happen. You know?
Yeah. No, I just leave them. I'm just undoing them, and it'll happen abruptly.
So you just walk right out of there. You're like, is it like that scene in is it Half Baked? I can't remember. It's a Dave Chappelle movie, I think. He's like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. No. Usually, I mean, no. When I was younger, I mean, usually I would just stop going. But a couple times there's been an outburst.
Oh, all right.
Nothing.
So you just kind of,
I kind of burn bridges. I kind of tell people what I think, and then it's time to go. So, yeah.
And the average time for that would be like a year, you think? Like,
yeah. I've never worked at a job more than 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I kind of like that philosophy, honestly. Like, it keeps you fresh, you know, you're doing new things.
Yeah. I don't know, it just happened that way, you know. But no, now it's better. Like, I found something that works for me, you know. I do the standup and I just like managing my own dog walking, pet sitting business. So I don't have bosses, but it you know, the standup makes it easier to do work, I guess.
So it's those two things? Like, you're making money off those two things?
No,
like,
I'm not making money on stand-up. I mean, maybe, no. But I just make money on the pets. But I mean, like, because I enjoy
But it allows you to do stand-up, though.
Yeah. And because I enjoy doing something, it's, like, easier. Like jobs are bleak to me. Like, they feel endless. Even, like, if it's a career that's not satisfying. Yeah.
And like the dog thing, you could just hang out with dogs.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great job.
Every day you walk in and dogs are happy to see you.
Yeah. And what do you do with what exactly do you have to do? Like, just hang out with the dogs? Like, do you have to, I'm sure you have to walk them, right? You have to walk the dogs.
Yeah. No, most of them just it's like a half hour, just a dog walk. I go fast, we go far, yeah. I like to meet the dog's needs, yeah.
So you run with the dogs just like all day?
Yeah.
Dude, that sounds awesome.
Like, you know, some dogs need to go fast, some dogs need to sniff around, so yeah. You gotta adjust accordingly, yeah.
You gotta feel the dogs out.
Yeah. So
I could just imagine. And how many dogs are there we're talking about? Like, I imagine you know a lot of different dogs now.
Yeah. I mean, I have like 10 regulars, but like four every week is like my baseline. 4 like 20 walks a week, and then like Christmas was fucking awesome. I made thousands. I made thousands last week. Mostly feeding cats. People were out of town, but also walking dogs. It's banging, dude. It's popping.
Wow.
The dog walking. People have money. This is their family. They got money to spend on their family, you know.
Yeah, dude. And is it like, why was it like in Christmas? What, are people busy? Is it like they're leaving for the holidays?
Yeah, they go out of town, so that's why it's more cats than usual. I mean, most normal business is me walking dogs when people are at work, but I mean, that's how people are just home. Like, you go into their house and they're just sitting there, and it's like, okay, you could be doing this, but I'll take your money.
Like, they're just sitting there while you hang out with them.
And there's like their old kids, all their teenage kids.
That's funny, dude.
Make the kid do this. It's like, all right, I'll take your money.
like a long lost parent like picking up a kid for 20 minutes. Like, who is this person?
Yeah.
Like if I was the kids, I'd be confused.
Yeah,
Why
it's
was
so
this
weird.
guy taking the cat for a walk?
Like the one kid, I mean, they have a huge dog. They feed him way too much. But the kid, like I'll walk in, the kid just like looks at me and just, I'm like, hey, like, the older kid talks to me, but it's kind of weird. It's just like, oh, all right, see ya. Like, I don't know. I prefer not to see people.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
a
just
big,
to
that's
go
a big
in and-
plus of the dog walk. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're-
It's just dogs.
Yeah, yeah. You're
Dogs
at
are
work.
cool.
Yeah.
Dogs are easy. Dogs are like dogs. You just kind of you have to just be chill. Like you can
Yeah.
you can get a dog easy. A human's a little harder than that.
I mean, it is. You do have to be chill. You nothing. You have to. I mean, if you're doing a lot of jobs, like I don't know, it's applicable.
Yeah.
It's applicable.
You haven't had any like mean dogs. I imagine people with mean dogs wouldn't even go for something like that. You haven't had a dog
yeah.
where you're like, whoa.
Well, now I have more business, so I turn down shady ones. But like, I mean, someone that you've never met their dog, they're like, oh yeah, he's cool. And then you go in and like this dog one time was just growling. Like I let him out. He was pissing. Like he was so scared and just like, I'm not walking this dog. I sat there, but I was chill. So he didn't advance. I wasn't really scared, but I would like if I did try to put the leash on and he tried to bite my hand. So no, I was like, but usually I meet the dogs first.
Yeah, I see.
Especially if it's certain breeds that can do damage, because people do fucked up things to their dogs.
Yeah, that's the real thing. It's like with a dog like that, who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like weird behavior.
Yeah.
And you never know. You never know.
Right.
Like some dogs are just weird too.
Yeah, right.
Some dogs just have like crazy anxiety for no reason.
Right, right.
So, but who knows? That dog does. I can see why you would do that though, because dogs like that, it's like, what am I even supposed to?
Right.
How am I supposed to meet this dog?
Yeah.
Where it's at?
And I'm fine with the anxiety, but then you got to meet him with the people first. Like you can't have him come into the key to the the entry is whatever, or the code. They'll have a pad, like, so you don't even have to meet the person.
Yeah.
And then you walk in and the dog's like, all of a sudden you're just in the space of this anxious dog. But no, mostly I meet him first.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that too. Yeah, because there's no like introduction from like, hey, this is the guy who's gonna walk you. You just show up and say, hey, come on, dog.
Right.
Like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
The dog would be confused too.
Yeah.
Dog's like, what's going on here? So you just have to like say, hey, hello. You have to kind of greet the dog every time. Like,
Yeah.
hey, what's up?
Yeah.
Because if you never met the owners.
Right. But sometimes it works out. Like, if it's like a small dog.
Oh, it probably always. I mean, it's like you said, as long as you're always just cool, I imagine it always work out. Yeah, I feel like I would be great at this job. I'm actually really jealous of you as you talk about this.
Well,
This sounds awesome to me, dude.
Yeah.
I get more excited the more we talk about it.
Yeah, it's fun, dude. And like you have to start small, but now it's like been over a year. Like last year, like I'd have like one dog a day, like a regular so it was like making like $100 a week. But then like you have to get your ratings, and in a year now, like it's pretty viable source of income.
Interesting.
So it's hard to start but you have to have. It took like 6 months to really get enough like reviews and everything.
Reviews where?
On the Rover app. Yeah.
Oh, I've heard of that, and that's
Yeah.
like a dog walking thing, right?
But they take a commission. But it's good because that's just like the marketing. But some people, I also have clients that I just have off that I don't use the app, so I just talk to them directly.
Okay.
But the app is like, then you get like all your requests, like if you get good ratings and everything.
I see. And people, like, you can, through the app, by doing it over and over, what is it, like, just, this person has 15 reviews or 15 ratings.
Like,
he's probably a really good dog walker. Let's hire him.
Now I have like 101, like 5 stars.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're a
So then you
professional,
can
bro.
raise your rate. Yeah, you raise your rate and you get better people and like.
Nice.
Yeah, so make more for the same work.
And now you make enough off of that to where you can just do that and then stand-up comedy. Before, I imagine when you started doing the dog walking, it wasn't like that. You probably...
Right.
Nice, dude. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool because that's kind of... So you gotta find a way. You gotta find a way to do something you like.
Right.
Yeah. Or else you will literally go insane.
Right.
Doing a million different jobs for a year at a time.
Yeah.
Literally.
And the comedy stays more fun if you can have some money too.
Yeah.
You know, like in bars all the time.
My man Mike just said it right just now. That is facts. You can't just make magic for free, folks. A little bit of cha-ching ching inside of that pot makes a boy dance. It makes a boy grow strong, get big muscles, get a big smart brain, and become a professional mind blower. Yeah, that's right, folks. If you want to support this show, if you want to see this show's muscles grow, the way you can do that is by getting one of these professional mind blower t-shirts. We are selling them for $25. We got smalls, we got mediums, we got larges, and we can make more sizes if you so please. It's true. And if you want to support the show but you don't want a t-shirt, well, guess what? We've got a Patreon, folks. Help us grow big and strong like calcium. You can calcify this show with $5 a month. You can make this show amazing. You can make it grow up and become a big, mature adult. That's right, folks. $5 a month. That's not that much. It's the price of a coffee, the price of a beer at the bar. I don't ask you for much, just your eternal love and dedication. All right, let's hear a little bit more about our homie Magic Mike's life.
Yeah, but the dog walking, I mean, it's good, you know, but I stay busy. I have to manage it. You know, I don't have a car now. I take the CTA to all these places, so I do a lot of steps. You know, I do like some days like 45,000 steps.
45,000 steps.
Yeah.
Is there like an estimate of miles? For
Yeah,
how many
I do like 20 to 25 miles some days. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
Nice, dude.
Uh-huh.
You should do a marathon.
Oh, I'm not. I hate running though, but I walk fucking fast. Yeah.
How fast you like you think like you walk like 5 miles per hour or something like that? Like if you were walking fast.
Yeah, I mean, 12-minute miles for a whole hour. I mean,
12, 24, 36,
I could do
48.
a mile walking in 12 minutes, but I don't. You know, that's yeah. I mean, but yeah, 15 for sure. 15-minute miles for sure.
15-minute mile walking though, that's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, like I always, because I gotta get around.
Yeah.
Then I get to I walk instead of waiting for buses. If it's gonna be faster, so I make it be faster. Yeah.
I do the same thing.
Yeah.
Dude. Because like I was going to Andersonville for something, so that's like from here. That's about on the bus it'd be like 20, 30 minutes. And then like I look and the bus was supposed to come and then it didn't come. So I'm thinking like, am I just going to stand here for 10 minutes? And then I ended up just like jogging the whole way there. And it was awesome, dude. I got so much exercise. It was great. Do you just like walking, I imagine?
Well, yeah, I do. Now, I mean, I've changed. Yeah, I got really healthy this year.
Oh, you didn't used to like it?
Yeah.
Nice.
No, yeah. I do all this yoga and stretching and...
Yeah. And you're like, wow, this stuff's actually cool. Yeah. I mean, like, was it that all came all at once? Yoga, stretching, all that?
No, like it was a whole process of improving my mental health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like one thing at a time?
Yeah, because had like some rough years with that. So, with like depression. So I had to learn how to overcome that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was comedy a part of that, I imagine?
Yeah. I mean, comedy first, like really...
Nice. So that's kind of like the thing that flipped it.
Yeah, it started last year, so it's New Year's Eve, right? So I don't know when people see this yet, but
I would say like within 2 weeks from now. So it was New Year's Eve, and so like just a little bit ago. Don't you remember how great it was? Don't you remember?
Yeah. I hope I'm still alive when people see this.
Me too.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So a year? You've done it for about a year?
Like almost 2 years. So I started like spring of last year. So
nice. That's about right when I moved here. I've lived here for about just that long.
So then like I took like, it was good, but I took like some time off then that summer because it was still really hard, like socially. I wasn't feeling comfortable. And like I did a lot of like psychedelics and like I had been taking like, like medications, but
Yeah.
I stopped that, and started taking like psychedelics in that summer and like setting intentions and like meditating and like trying just learning about my mental health, and it worked. It's been a whole process. I don't want to turn this into
Oh no, dude, for real.
yeah,
That's
the whole
cool. I mean,
like
when you started doing that, what psychedelics are you talking about?
well, I had like acid a lot, and like sometimes like mushrooms. Like it was just like serendipitous that summer. Like I went to a farmer's market in Englewood, and like this guy had mushroom like tea, and I was like, oh, what other mushrooms? And he just sold me like a bunch of mushrooms for like $20.
You asked him the right question.
Yeah, he was cool as hell. And
It's like he said the right, like the code words.
yeah,
He just pulls out a bag of real mushrooms.
yeah. So I had a heroic dose that day.
When you say heroic dose, you talking like 7 grams? Like
yeah,
really?
I think. No, actually, I mean that day was an 8. I think that was 3.5, which is a pretty good amount.
Had you done it like a decent amount before mushrooms in particular?
Yeah, I've done a lot, but yeah, I've used them, but not a ton in my life. Like, but this was the first time I started using them really for like trying to improve mental health, like a lot of acid and stuff. Like maybe every 2 to 4 weeks, do a trip or something that summer, and it was working again because I hadn't been able to do it for years because of being on like various psychotropic medications, just prescriptions.
Oh, and yeah, that's smart
So
though.
that
Some people do that, and that's bad. Yeah.
I mean, I would try, but it just wouldn't work. Or if it did work, it wouldn't be intense. Like,
oh, really?
yeah, or like depending what drug I was on at the time. But yeah, mostly no. So anyway, that was good. That was very transformative. Along with the work, I was learning about mental health, like and working with my therapist, because I have a therapist and she sees me for free. So I'm very grateful for that, because even when I stopped working, again, like I tried to go back to work, and like after years, I was like doing okay, like stable with my mental health, not like severely depressed. So I tried to go back to work, but like that still sucked, even like if I could do it, like life still sucks, like it's boring. And so like if that's like the ceiling for me, is like just being like competent and like able to do it and never having fun in life, like there's no point to that. Like that makes me depressed again. So like I had to figure out like how to raise the ceiling, like because I knew I had more potential, like way more like creative potential, especially, that was not being unleashed, and I was very anxious. And so even though I was stable with the medication, I made the choice to like seek to be happy, like enjoy life, like be fulfilled, like I see other people, not just get by, not just absence of sadness or whatever.
Wow. That's cool. That's like a story from a movie. Like it's a cool way. I think it's a cool way. Like, I think we're the stories we tell ourselves. Like that's a cool way to look at it. So whatever story that you tell yourself that you're going to be, like that's what you'll become. And so if your story is like, I've spent my life like having all this creative potential and I want to put it somewhere, and then now I finally found a way to do it, that's like a great story. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people want to do that. I think a lot of people are creative, but they don't know what they're doing with their life, so they just go about a million different things.
Right.
So, like, my goal, I'm praying to God, like, people, please just pay me on Patreon, all right? Like, please, dear God, and then we'll get some sponsors on this podcast, and then bing, bam, boom, I can quit my day job just like you, fella. That's what we're working on here.
Yeah, right.
But that's the goal, right? And I think
Eventually,
everybody's trying
yeah.
to. So it's cool that you're achieving that. That's, yeah.
I mean, that's the goal, but the goal more is like to do stand up and like enjoy and just enjoy what I'm doing. And even if that never leads to huge success, you know, it's like be authentic and like push the boundaries I want to push, you know, and be myself and do something that's fun. And if that leads to whatever level of success, well, that's a great byproduct. But as long as I'm enjoying it, you know, and being authentic and doing things I'm happy doing, that's good enough.
Yeah, because I mean, it's all about like what you're doing right now.
Yeah,
you know,
because it was bleak, you know, for a while. There wasn't that much hope in my life, so this has been a great year.
Yeah. What exactly was it that like made you choose comedy for that? Like, how'd you figure that out?
Well, I mean, I had done like a few open mics like 12, 13 years ago. I just always liked it. I mean, growing up, like since I'm 41, like in the 90s, it was always just like new George Carlin special like every 2 years. That was most of stand up I saw, you know, and then a little older, you'd see like a half hour on Comedy Central and that or so. But I don't know, like Carlin especially, I just like that idea, you know, of him. I don't know, people just hanging on his word, you know, like, I don't know, so.
Did you ever listen to like, Bill Hicks either? You ever like Bill Hicks?
Yeah, but I mean, he got bigger later, it seemed. Like, you know, once his legend grew a little bit, it seemed like people retroactively. I mean, plus that was like, I think he died in like 90 or 91. So I was born in 83. So.
I see.
So, but like Carlin was like active, like every 2 years till like he died in like 07 or whatever.
Uh-huh.
But, yeah, and then, I mean, I think the thing is about comedy, it's like fun. Like, it comes natural. Like, I was always just like kind of smart ass or like I think of things, I get distracted, I don't pay attention, I think of my own thing and like think of something to say that'll be funny. I don't know. Like, so I'm not that focused, I guess. But like, no matter how bad, like I feel, or like always, like there's always like humor, like can work, like you can laugh just spontaneously. Something can be funny, even if you feel really shitty. Like, so I think it's like that. Like, even though when I lost interest in a lot of things, I was always willing to see comedy and laugh because it's just. Visceral, you know, it's just a reaction. It's a shared experience.
Yeah. Yeah, comedy, I think, is something that's like almost therapeutic in such a way. Like, I think it's something people actually need. Like, they don't even realize how much they actually need it. Like, even just in everyday conversation, like, comedy is needed. Like, you need a little levity. You can't just be serious all the time.
There's just so many opportunities to connect. Like, you realize you're just... you notice you laugh at the same things a lot as somebody, and then you like talk and strike up a friendship or something.
Yeah, it's a good way to make a connection. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, and I think like to take that step though and to like do comedy, that's kind of a different thing though, because like you have to kind of figure out, because you already knew that you were naturally funny, but like, you just do the same thing you would do in a conversation on a stage? Like, is it the same thing, or do you kind of like figure out a way to?
Yeah, no, it's not the same thing, because I really wasn't even having conversations. Like, when I started doing stand-up, like I was pretty isolated, actually. You know, I guess more like the things that, like the way I'd be with like my mom or like people who really know me, like just like quips and things, or like the kind of irreverence, or just things like that. But no, it's a totally different thing. I don't like talking that much in conversation. Like, being on these podcasts is like so much talking for me, and it's like talking about myself. It like makes me a little self-conscious, or a little, I guess. But stand-up, like, I'll talk my stand-up in front of, it's not, I don't care. Like, I don't notice who's out there. Like, people rip on, like, my eyes. People see me, if anyone's ever seen my stand-up, like, my eyes are often almost closed. I mean, not fully. I got, like, squinty face, but, like, I don't do that on purpose, and I got to get better at it, and probably won't always do it. And I am looking out a little bit, but it's just, like, I don't care that much. It's like, I don't know. It's, like, my time to talk. It's, like, but I can still react to what's happening in the room. But I never will be the comic who's like there, like trying to engage the audience in conversation or something. Like, I will respond to something that happens if I notice it. I got to be more present, that's for sure. But it's my time. Yeah. And in conversation, it's like shared time.
So you're not like the kind of guy, like, so if you see somebody in the audience and they're like looking at you and you ask them what the job is and then you try to make a joke off of it, you're not trying to do that?
Yeah, no. The only time I would engage someone like that is if they like heckled me, or like or maybe they had been like during the show, like made a big, like they were almost part of the show, as an audience member. Like, they keep coming up time and time again, or like, there'd been a running joke based on some crowd work an earlier comic did or something. But no, I wouldn't really directly do that.
Like, if everybody called the guy up front fat, you have to say something.
No, that would be cheap as hell. No, I mean, like, sometimes people just get involved, and that they're going to get involved during your set too, so you have to like preemptively address the person.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's, because comedy, I don't know, even if it's not heckling, or like the first time it's invited and the person in the audience is kind of funny, and then they become like a character almost, and like a run, I don't know. It's live performance, it's performance art, so you just got to be on your toes. But no, yeah, like my style isn't more like I'm there, like I want you to relate to what I'm saying, but I'm not like there to like relate with you. Like, I'm there to tell you things. This is what my thought process is like.
What's funny is, like, to me, that's exactly what I'm doing as a rapper. Like, I'm just like, it has nothing to, truly, I'm going to say whatever I'm going to say anyways.
Yeah.
If you don't like it,
Yeah.
I already know what it is. You can't, like, I know what this is.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, it's exactly what you're saying. I'm just writing it down. It's whatever I said.
Yeah, right.
It's my time.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, when I know, okay, I have 5 minutes, like, okay, I'm doing these 2 songs. I know exactly what I'm doing. They can't, I could do this anywhere.
Right. Yeah. And I don't do that. Like, I'm real loose. Like, I get a lot of my jokes just off riffing. Like, I'll have a loose premise and then fill in the blanks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I like that because it just lets me be myself. And again, my attention span, like, if I'm trying to focus on any one thing too much, other things go wrong. So it's like, if the audience, like, I get really just distracted, so it's like, I just like to get in a rhythm, I get in a cadence, and sometimes the eyes like shut down, and it's I don't know, but it's usually, I get a lot of laughs. So.
It's like you get possessed.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's trance-like.
That's how, again, I understand what you're saying, though. Because, like, I feel like what I love about performing is that can happen to you. Like, I feel like I get into a certain state of mind I can't get into anywhere else. There's something that happens there.
Yeah, and then, like, the more I'm like that, like, it's easier to pull my writing, like, the things I wrote down, and, like, pull it, like, into my memory, because, like, my work, have it ready to go. when I was trying to hit every line, I was like thinking too much, and it was like, so I just learned to be looser, and then that in turn just helped me incorporate the writing into like a more comfortable performance style. So now it's just, yeah, I don't have as much trouble like remembering bits when I write them the first time.
Huh. So you'll like write it down just like a basic kind of premise now. Like you're not like scheming it out like you would have before and trying to make everything. Like you just loosened up the way you write them even, you mean?
I do both, yeah. Sometimes I just have a premise and I'm like, oh, I haven't done something new in a while, you know, and like then I'll just try to work off that premise. But then sometimes I have like this concept is maybe a little more elaborate to get people on board. It takes a little more setup, more exposition to get people to know what you're talking about. Those I kind of write more precisely. And then if I have like good tags, but some of my bits are more like attitude or just like repetition is big for some of them. So, you know, I just feel it, but, you know, it does take, you still got to write it. Like, even if you riff it out, like, I feel like then once I do riff it out, like, I got to write it, you know, cause
Do you record it?
Yeah, but I'm bad about listening to my recordings. But that's bad. But
you don't like to hear it? Is
well,
like...
no, I'm better at, yeah. I have a mental block when it comes to staying on task in general. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you though.
There's always a lot of things I should be doing that I'm not, I guess.
Well, dude, there's a million things to do though. Like when you really think about it, there's a million things you could be doing all at once. Like if you really wanted to get everything you could possibly get done, like it's impossible. There's just no way. Yeah. And so like life forces you to make that. You're always making a choice no matter what you do because you have to choose what you're going to do.
Right.
So if you do nothing, you're missing out on those million other things that you probably should do. I mean, there's just all kinds of things. So, yeah, I feel like I'm never doing the right thing. I feel like I'm always like 3 steps behind myself at all times. Like I'm catching up.
Right.
Like I know one day I'm going to get all that shit done.
You're right, man. You got to make hard choices. You got to do what gives you energy, you know, and like try to maximize your time. Like there's a lot of people pulling at you now, like there's a lot of bullshit obligation in this society, in this culture, like, and like that 9 to 5 stuff. I mean, they're just, it just creates more of it, like more bills, more things you got to pay for. Like if you know, like then I can't spend time with my dog. I got to pay someone to walk the dog while I'm making money. Like I hate that. It's like, why not I'll just limit my life, like need way less, you know, and like build from there, and that's kind of my philosophy. Like I'll never go back to working a full-time job, like or like just being like consuming, you know, just like I people buy so much shit, you know. I don't know, maybe I'm going on a tangent, but
there's some song where I wrote like it was for like a Russ remix. It was Handsomer, but it's like material possessions, that's what keep me out my mind. It just fits like it makes a lot more sense in the context of the song. But I think people get material things to kind of like it makes you feel better about whatever's going on in your mind. Like you have a thing that you know is yours. It's expensive. I have this expensive thing. Like even if everything's shitty, at least I can have expensive things.
Yeah, right.
There's something nice about owning
retail therapy.
Yeah, I can understand like the human thing. It's like, you know, if a monkey had a golden banana.
Yeah.
Every monkey would want the golden banana, not the normal banana. So it makes sense, I guess.
But even, I guess even just our time, like we were originally saying, you know, it's like there's just so many things you could be, locking yourself into.
But you know what? That's kind of the opposite side of it too, because you don't want to, like, by doing that, by wanting the best thing, it's just you're comparing everything to everything else. And really, you'd probably be just as happy with that cheaper thing, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there are a million things. You don't need the best thing all the time.
Right.
Yeah. Like, dude, I shop at Goodwill still. I love Goodwill, dude. They have the best shit.
Yeah.
I stand by that.
But like, I've had shirts 20 years, like my dad's old shit. Like, yeah, no, I mean, but I mean, just like walking, like how, I mean, there's a lot of ways that, you could save money that can like reduce the demands on your time, Like,
yeah.
But I don't know. It's then you start doing small things you like. Then you fill your schedule up with that, and you get busy. Doing things that are meaningful. It just grows naturally, especially if you're doing the thing you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I think it's like I feel like it's like it manifests itself. It's as if like if I make a bunch of choices that are in that general direction, then it'll kind of happen naturally, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's just how everything in life is. Like it takes a bunch of steps. And then all of a sudden, it's like a giant thing that you didn't even realize you were doing, Yeah. Like comedy, it's crazy to me with comedy. Like it takes about 5 to 10 years for like most regular comedians to like really even become like solidified comedians. That's just the general. That's how everybody thinks about it, which to me is fucking crazy.
Right.
But it is that same mindset. It's like baby steps into something that's way better because you're gonna get better.
Yeah.
And like I wish everybody looked at everything in life like that because that's how everything is. Even working out. You work out, but you can't work out one day. You got to work out a bunch of days over a period of time.
Yeah.
Like walking every day is one of the best fucking things you could do, dude.
Yeah.
Just because that's like your body is probably so used to that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it demands like a balance. Like I have work on my feet, and like you walk 20 miles a day. Like I get like calluses if my feet aren't hitting correctly, and all. Like I've just had to like fix my body, like my posture, my alignment, everything.
With the with the stretching and the yoga and all that.
Yeah, like going back to like the mental health and the psychedelics and stuff, like. So I would learn about like traumas, stored trauma, like how you hold the trauma you've experienced in your body, like in the form of chronic tension. So I've had to learn how to release all that and do different things, like correct. There's like this vertebrae with no nerves in it called the atlas that like tilts wrong if people sit too often. And then you might like tilt to one side and then like fix that. And then there's this nerve called like the vagus nerve that runs down like your whole body and controls all these like somatic functions and makes you anxious. Like you learn how to reset that. And then all of a sudden you just put like we're just talking about, like then you're able to get like you're releasing tension and you learn how to release more through meditation, just mind taking control of the body. And then like using like a light therapy lamp helps a little more. It's like all these things build, and then you just got, all of a sudden you're able to like do like yoga, like, and be flexible. A year ago I could, I've just come so far in a year. I can't believe it. Just by learning about myself, being willing to change, and just taking those small steps and making it into a practice.
Yeah. I think it's cool that your awakening seems to have come to fruition through psychedelics. I think that's a good story for people to hear, because people don't realize, like, I think it's becoming more popular. It's becoming more of a thing. But like I've thought this for the last like 10 years, maybe like longer than that, where you would hear like stories about like people who would have trips and then they would like all of a sudden they wouldn't be so depressed anymore, things like that. And that just becomes more and more. Then it became, you know, people with PTSD. They would try psilocybin with them, and then they would lose. Maybe it was MDMA, actually. I don't know what it was. I thought it was psilocybin, but it might be MDMA.
It could be any, like, not cocaine, not stimulants, but there's been studies, like, I would read studies, like, before I was doing those psychedelics. Like, there's, or like, articles, like, there's these critical periods you go through in life, like, when you're born, the earliest critical periods, you have this span of time for developing these life skills. So first it might be like hearing, or like the more important things like seeing, you know, like processing, like things that are more essential. But then as you get older, you have these critical periods for learning things like your brain is just really susceptible to learning language at a time, you know, but then you get older, it might be like socializing. And if your brain is like broken during this critical period for socializing, like you're experiencing a lot of trauma, you might just be wired incorrectly for your life. But what they find with psychedelics is that these critical periods can actually be reopened, and you can train your brain. So like it could even help like a stroke victim maybe like learn like skills or something.
Really?
But like MDMA, psilocybin, acid can help people like overcome like their bonding issues. You know, like there's a critical period for like when you learn to bond with your parental figure, and if that person's separated from you, you might be emotionally unfulfilled your whole life, you know, but like you might be able to access that again through the use of psychedelics.
Yeah. I think what's so, I am a profound believer in mushrooms. I think psilocybin mushrooms, for me personally, if I didn't have those, I would not, I don't know if I'd be exactly who I am. And that I mean that in a great way. Like I think it's helped me, I think the thing that it would show me more than anything is that, when I had first started doing anything like that, it was a long time ago, and I did way too much, and it was acid because it was what I could get a hold of, right? And so I was doing like 2 tabs every few days, like ridiculous. I was in like, I think
that's too much.
Yeah, way too much, dude.
Yeah.
But I was just chasing the dragon in my crackhead way with the acid.
Right.
But I think like, then I discovered mushrooms way later on, and mushrooms was like what I was looking for with acid. And so now I don't even think I'd ever go back. I love mushrooms.
Yeah.
And so, but I think what it tells me more than anything is like, you know, whatever these ideas that I have, like these ideas, this current state of mind that I have, it's just a framework of mind that I have currently.
Yeah.
But like you don't have that when you're in that state. It's completely gone. It's like, you think in such an abstract way that it's hard to explain it to somebody who hasn't experienced it. Like if you're truly that deep in, you're thinking so differently that you really will like think deeper into your mind and think of those things you wouldn't normally think about, because your mind kind of like exposes itself to you in this weird way. Like I always like to do it by myself because you do too?
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting, because most people don't. Most people I feel like want to have somebody there with them.
Because even if people are there with me, it's like a solo experience. Like and like, it's okay. Like I'll do it, but yeah.
That's how it is for me, dude. I'm like, let me just stare at the ceiling for.
I gotta use the bathroom.
I think that mushrooms do something with like it really shows you that like with that framework of mind, it's the thing they call like ego death. You know, like you lose your ego for a moment, and I think that's something too that's like. I don't think it's for everybody. I don't think every single person in the world should do it, because I've seen how some people have like a real bad reaction. Like I know that can happen and they'll think like it's your mind's like exposing itself to you. So if it's somebody who's like real tight and kind of locked up, it's almost like they like think themselves into a bad trip. Like I've seen it happen.
Oh yeah, dude. I've had that. I mean, I was always real tense, and I'm a sensitive person. You know,
I've had bad trips too. Yeah.
Yeah.
The way that I think about it is like that was supposed to happen. Like
Right,
that
yeah.
was I needed to see that
Yeah.
to understand what that was. You know,
Yeah.
I had to go to that place.
Probably the most mushrooms I ever did. It turned out it was a horrible trip, but it turned out to be the best trip. Like the most probably transformative.
Why? Like what was it about it?
Well, I mean, okay, so I went to this party by myself, right? And this party was a Jersey Shore party. Do you remember that show, Jersey Shore?
Of course.
And I did not watch that show, but I thought it was like to make fun of this. No, it turned out the type of people there, they liked that show, Jersey Shore, right? And like I went to the party and I knew like the host and a couple people, but not that well. And then all of a sudden this guy, like, I was dressed like such an asshole. And like this guy came up and he like had a hat and he acted so goofy and he had like a hat with like a mushroom, like tapestry, like some sort of like mushroom, like cloth design, like safety pin to the hat, you know? And it was like, and he's like, you want some mushrooms? And he gave me this giant fucking bag of mushrooms, like, for like, he's like $20, and it had to be like over a quarter for sure. Like, and I just went to the bathroom and I ate all these fucking mushrooms, dude. And I was already like lonely, like at the party, and like not doing that well or happy in life. And
that was a wild decision.
Yeah, and it just like, and I never had a bad trip before, but then like all of a sudden it just started going bad. Like the wall, like this was so much the mushrooms. It was like Fantasia. Like the wallpaper in the bathroom like had all this like fruit on it, and it was just like coming at me like, and like I couldn't, and like I went out, and then all of a sudden like I could just had like the auditory hallucinations, right? And it just felt like everyone was like talking about me, talking bad, like, and I don't know, like, because that's probably where my mind was, you know. I was really anxious, you know, felt terrible about myself in general, and, you know.
Yeah.
And then this friend came, like, who wasn't going to come, and he was like a hater, dude. He just shit all over stuff all the time with this other guy who was like that. And I was hanging out with that guy a lot at the time. But, like, it made me, like, man, that, like, I never hung out with that guy again after that night because those mushrooms, like, just showed me, like, something about that dude. Like, I can't be around people like this, you know? And it just went on. And, like, I end up, like, yeah, it just kept going. I mean, I end up in the back of my Jeep, like, after an hour or two, but man, it felt like forever. It was, but then, like, I was just, like, the next, like, my whole body, it was like I released something, like, that some sort of trauma, like, exercised, like, and, like, I was just, like, happier, you know, like it did something to my depression or something, like, and I was able to then like move forward and start like I got a better job in teaching, like, and I got a master's degree, even though that wasn't the right thing for me. It got me to try something else, to like start moving forward again, have a little more confidence in myself again. But it was it was so scary, that trip.
Wow. I can only imagine.
Because I hated, the people there were all dressed like Jersey Shore, you know, and they were assholes on top of it. And I was so uncomfortable because I didn't even like that. I just went, you know, because I was invited. Like, I didn't even...
That's so strange. It's like a genie showed up into your life. It said $20 for this.
Like he had like some like piece of cloth like cut into the shape of a mushroom, like safety pin to some goofy hat he was wearing. Like, yeah.
Like, who the fuck is this guy?
I know, someone told me, I forgot his name, but like I think he went to a mental hospital after that. He did like so many mushrooms.
He had a worse experience than you.
Yeah, no, he was way out there. But,
Oh man,
he
yeah.
just gave me the hugest bag of mushrooms.
Yeah, it's just so funny that you took that as like an opportunity to do it right away. Like that is such a bold choice, dude. And like immediately you paid the price.
Oh yeah, I mean it was like fun, and then like an hour, like it was kicking in. It was like, oh, this is the best. Like I was feeling like on cloud nine, and then all of a sudden it just like I went in that bathroom and like the fruit started coming at me, and then just like I couldn't shut it off. Everything was.
It started with the fruit.
Everything was bad, yeah.
I see, because like the way you told it, I thought you were in the bathroom like when you did it, and then it came out immediately. You had a good hour thinking it was all gonna be cool.
Yeah, but yeah, this is like 15 years ago, you know. So it's like I remember in detail, but yeah, like I remember like there was like some girl there, and I was like felt like we were vibing. It was, who knows, it might have been all in my head, but like. I felt like real cool, real loose. Like all, you know how mushrooms like make all your muscles loose usually. Yeah, like that, and just like felt chill. And that was like why I decided to do the mushrooms, because I knew it can have that effect on me. But I never done that many mushrooms.
That's so wild.
It was so, like I wish I would have been able to weigh it, because it was the big fucking bag, like yeah. So
I think the highest dose I've ever done is 8. I think 8 grams.
Yeah.
To me, anything above that is like insane.
Yeah.
Even 8's a lot. So
yeah, 8 is a lot.
Yeah.
That's probably about what this was. If like. I mean, back then, too, I wasn't as familiar, like, with it. Like, so I probably didn't realize how much I was eating. But, like, thinking back, like, what I know to be, like, an 8th now, you know, it's like, yeah, it might have been even more than 8 grams.
You just didn't know you had.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, people do this. I'll just do all of it.
He's like, it was only $20. I mean,
can't be that much.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, dude. Yeah, that sounds like a classic like nightmare. Just because you're at a Jersey Shore party, like I can just imagine all the ways that would go wrong.
I was wearing like a Dago tee. I had like my hair like gelling it and shit. It was so stupid. I really didn't know that people actually liked it. I didn't know anyone
like you not
serious.
Ironically, like you mean like they were into the show.
Yeah, they all watched that show. Like it was popular with someone, I guess, and these were the people, you know, but.
All the Guidos came out.
Yeah. It wasn't even
the Guidos and Guidettes, folks.
You know, like I was like out of college by this time, but it was like in my, you know, it was near my hometown, but it wasn't even like people I knew from high school. It was like another high school, you know, so I barely knew anybody. It was like friends of friends. And like, yeah, it was horrible. It was... I mean, but then it was a great trip, as horrible as that was. Like, I don't remember many nights like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting that it, like you said, you came out of it still feeling like better in some kind of way. Like even though things didn't go well, you came out of it feeling better in some kind of way. Like I think there's got to be something like physiological that happens there with like the way that the mushrooms impact your brain, the way that it impacts the way that your brain communicates with itself. Like that's what there has to be something that happens there that kind of reignites something. It's like because I've had like so many experiences where it almost feels like the phrase rebirth would make sense.
Yeah.
It's like you're reborn in some weird kind of way when it's over.
I think it's those critical periods that I was just telling you about. Like it gives you the opportunity to like experience learning something for the first time, basically. Like forge something new in your brain. It's like, and just like overcome, and like new neural connections are created and stuff. It's just.
And that change of perspective is exactly like what cued you into other things too, which is cool. Like that's so with the yoga and all of that, like was that connected to mushrooms at all or no?
I mean, no, that's just more separate because like. It was just all part of like discovering what made me healthier and stuff. And I had done it before,
Yeah.
tried yoga, like a lot of things I've tried like separately, but like I'd be so tense, like I couldn't even get that much. Like I didn't know how to breathe correctly. I had to learn breathing therapy, like fix my breath, like stop, like breathing, like reactivating these muscles in my diaphragm, stuff like that, because I was just like my whole frame was tense. So it sounds it's I yeah, it's amazing. It's astounding that like I feel so healthy, because I just always thought I was a person who was supposed to be tired and feel kind of shitty about everything.
Yeah. And like again, I think it's like what you tell yourself, cuz I think like people can think their way into like making things so much worse for themselves. And like
Yeah.
if you can just change your frame of mind, you
Yeah.
really can feel better and get better.
Right.
But you have to change your frame of mind. You have to actually make the
Yeah.
choice and do it. That's the hard part. And it's not
Yeah.
easy to like do things at first. At
Yeah.
first it sucks.
Right. And what you're saying, that like there's a book, Emotional Life of the Brain, that talks about that, like humans, like through mindfulness, through meditation, like they can like actually change the way their minds work. There's like these basic mindsets and things like that, and they can actually change. Like Patrice O'Neill has this great joke, like he's maybe my favorite comic ever. But it was like the premise was just like, you're 40, you might, like you could do sit-ups, but you're not going to change your ethic. Like, I mean, and it's a great bit, but it's actually true. Like you can like change your ethic, but it's like kind of counterintuitive. You don't work harder, you like evaluate, you like go internal, and like you switch things off, and that's how you learn to let go of things that don't serve you. So yeah, it's it's amazing. I mean, some other stuff might have sounded like bullshit to me at some point in my life. So
Yeah. I could see why, because I think like people tune it out as like, like just emotional, like self-help type stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's just, it's just stuff people say to try to make you feel better. But it
Yeah.
really is like, just even like for me, if I work out 2 days a week, I immediately feel 10 million times better. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what was wrong with me? Why didn't I do that? And like the whole frame of mind is changed. And if I just, I'm really like, that's the one thing I've been doing lately that's like really made me feel like I'm actually, like I'm moving upward, that. And then like, you just have to pick things. You have to put like physical, like obtainable goals that you can actually achieve. Like you have to create those for yourself. Like I
Yeah.
want to do this so many times and then this so many times. Like I'm going to walk so many miles. Like just stuff like that where you've like,
Yeah.
once you achieve it, you're like, hell yeah, I've done this fucking
Yeah.
3 days this week. I'm awesome.
Yeah.
And then you just feel better. You feel like you're doing something with your fucking life.
And that can work, because another thing is like I learned, like instead of bipolar, like I have ADHD. Like I used to, when I was taking that medicine, it was diagnosed bipolar, but what I really have is like ADHD combined with stored like experiences. But like I had to learn like how my brain works like with ADHD and find ways to motivate me, because it's like if I set like, oh, I got to do this 3 times, I might not do that just because I set that goal. But like I have to figure out like how to be productive within like the framework of how I think about things, so
Yeah.
it just helps you to understand yourself, like whatever, to understand the way you think, and what works for you. I just like however you achieve that, like, and I'm big on like the Eastern methods, like the mindfulness, or like the psychedelics alternatives, but I also like when they're backed by like real science. A lot of those things are backed by, if they're actually studied. Like,
Yeah, it's a shame because it's just not studied enough.
Right, like this meditation and this emotional life of the brain, like that, like is the guys like made breakthroughs in the field of like studying mindfulness meditation, you know, and verifying its effects.
I've heard like crazy things about like certain like breathing patterns that people will do that like put you in a psychedelic mind state.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about it, but to me it just like they do it with people. So either it's like a form of hypnosis and they're just convincing these people they're having this experience, but I think like they can tell you how to do it. I think you just have to breathe the right way, but they're like, be careful because and it's just crazy that that's the kind of stuff like it's because your brain, it's the way your brain works. Like your brain has to, it has coping mechanisms like this. Like it needs to do these things.
And it is like I use a lot of guided meditations because I have trouble with my mind wandering, but like I like that, and like I can get to a point where it's like I'm almost like floating inside my body. Like I don't feel like I've switched off like anywhere I'm holding tension. It's just like everything is completely loose. You know, that's almost like a psychedelic experience. It's just like. I don't know. It's pretty cool. And then, like, you come out of that, like, maybe feeling just like you had the best 8 hours of sleep or something. You're just supremely relaxed.
Yeah. I do know what you mean. But are you just saying this, like, comes over you, like, at once, like, sometimes? Like, it just, like, happens?
No, it's like I mean, I'm not good at, like, if I was more experienced or, like, actually learned about, like, techniques, maybe you get into it right away, but, like, it's like say I'm feeling really tense, like, you can, like, learn to, like, let go of the places in your body where you hold certain emotions. And I know it all sounds like such bullshit, but it's so true. Like I know that if I'm feeling a certain type of self-doubt, my chest will be tight, like right here. And so like if something's bugging me, like I might be able to just like get that out now without even like stretching. But like stretching and that it helps release those things too. So it's necessary.
Yeah. There's some type of meditation where it's like you go up and down your body. And it's interesting because like you think like, okay, now focus on your fingertips.
Yeah.
Okay, now focus on your elbows.
Yeah.
Okay, now focus on your shoulders. And if
Body
you
mapping.
do that, you literally do feel each different point at different times because your brain is like, okay, now I'm feeling from it. And you can feel it all at once all the time, but you don't really think about it because it's all just you can't. Again, there's a million things to do and think about all at once.
Yeah.
You can't be fucking thinking about your fingertips all the time.
Right.
You don't get time for this.
Right now, I was just thinking I was holding it right there because like that made me think because that it will get to that point. You think you're totally relaxed, and it's like now your eyelids, you know, like your tongue inside of your mouth, like, and you're like, oh yeah, fuck.
I do have a fucking tongue.
Yeah, like it's just like your forehead. You're holding tension here, like. Because I didn't sleep that much, so that is like I get tension here.
Your forehead, yeah.
But it's just everywhere. It's just and some of them are really just intricate like that. Just goes through every you know part of the body. Just
Yeah, it'd be like
great.
You just have to like you just have to relax. Is it as simple as that? You just kind of.
Yeah, it's like turn
Loosen
your
up.
attention to your feet and release all the tension from your feet, you know.
Ooh.
And now to your calves, and think of the tension being released from your calves, like elastic bands being released, you know. And it'll be like maybe music in the background or like a really kind of therapeutic way of saying it, you know.
Oh, I see what this is.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's crazy that actually works. That's crazy that really works. Because again, you're just thinking about it.
Yeah. It's like you know, like in yoga, if you go to, they might say turn your mind's eye to your shoulders or something. And then that's kind of what you're doing. You're like turning your focus inward to that part of to the signals to that part of your body. Your brain knows how to do it.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so lost in everybody is your brain actually does know how to do it. Like your brain really can do like crazy, amazing things that people would say are impossible. Like people climb Mount Everest naked. Like people do crazy shit. Your brain can do all kinds of things.
And it's just the way it operates too. Like we override you could start breathing wrong because of the way you've been sitting for years. Like, but if you're in a coma or something, your brain's gonna like go back to doing everything like the right way.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Even if you're in a coma.
It's like these processes that become more difficult because of how smart we are. It's like just like connect with your nature, like it's the nervous system and whatnot.
Well, I think like what you said too about like knowing yourself, I think that's like one of the best things you could possibly do is like try to understand yourself in some kind of way. Because I think like that's where a lot of like everything goes wrong for everyone all the time. It's like they don't spend enough time, and that's why people say like go to therapy or do all these things, because like I feel like it's almost like you're out of alignment with yourself. Like you are in alignment and then you can get out of alignment, and you always need to kind of find a way to stay in that spot. And it's hard to do. It's hard to know what you are, for a million reasons,
Right.
You could be all kinds of things. I don't know.
I mean, in your life circumstances change, and you people get a big head or they get deflated, they who knows, and then you just lose track of yourself in there somewhere, like or you start to achieve a little bit of success, and then you wonder like how do you move forward, and you might try to do things outside of yourself or something. I don't know, it's just I think it's a practice. Like I think that's a practice, like just staying in touch like with I mean like your inner child, like to things that make you happy, and just the things you want to do to be fulfilled. It's you just it's easy to you fall into a rut and lose sight of that, I think.
Yeah, and the inner child thing is very true. There's like a childlike curiosity in everybody. Someone said to me once, I don't know if it's like a quote from somewhere, be childlike, not childish. And I thought that's a good way to think, like
right.
Always maintain that childlike essence.
Be open to new people and experiences, and try to see the best in people, and believe in yourself. I think like that's pretty natural. Like kids have it like beaten out of them at a young age, or just taken out of them with trauma. But I think it's pretty natural to believe in yourself, your self-efficacy and stuff, and be social. And now it's just, I don't know. It's just there's just so many stressors on people.
Yeah.
I'm a really big believer in that, in the U.S. especially. That's why we have so much violence. There's just too much stress placed on people, too much to be like self-determined. Because like knowing yourself too, like is about like knowing who's good for you, it's like and helping other people, and using their expertise, and getting to know other people and forging connections,
Yeah, and you don't even realize you're helping when you're helping them is what's like, the way it's like a butterfly effect is how I kind of look at it. Like the things you do to help people, like you don't even know what that means to them when you're helping them. Like people look at you a whole different way than you'd think that they would, like they're like, oh, like if you're the one person that shows up to help when no one else showed up, like they remember you as that guy, and there's like things like that in life that you don't think about when you're helping and you're trying to do that. So it's like a net positive for all your actions. Like it spreads into the ether of the world in this weird way.
Yeah, and like the comedy scene is kind of like a little biosphere for that, like, you help new people, and it just it comes back around, I think, like, just be good. It's,
Well, I was just gonna say, I noticed that when when I started doing these podcasts, I just kind of I went to one open mic because I'm lucky enough to live near one, and so I say, I have a podcast, blah 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 blah, and then I just have to start having a couple people on, and then I realize as I start following everybody on Instagram, everybody knows everybody, like it's it's one giant community of people, and it's just interesting that's. It's interesting that that's the way it is. Like I was saying, I can't remember who it was that I had on here, and I was talking to them about it. It's like I wonder if L.A. and New York have the same kind of comedy community that somewhere like here would have, because it seems like people are generally supportive of everybody else around here.
Yeah.
Whereas I bet if you go to L.A. or New York, it's not quite like that. They might be a little more competitive. I don't know about Austin, but I know those are like the major cities. They have comedy going on.
Right.
So I would imagine we're like the nicest. We're all nicer to each other.
I do think that is what Chicago's kind of known for. I'm just like getting a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's and again, it's like that. Just little things go a long way. Like you just hang out. What I've noticed is just if I hang out, I just stay and I hang out and I talk to people afterwards. Like that means a lot of the time. A lot of time you can't do that if you're going to like 3 open mics a night. But people do like notice shit like that. There's all kinds of things. Just like little choices you can make. Like say hi to people. Say, hey, yo, what's up? Like, nice to see you.
Yeah, there was one guy coming around for a while, and he would go up first, like at every open mic, and like he'd bring his girlfriend, and like he would just like go up first, then like conspicuously leave during the night. Like no one, I swear he didn't see anyone do comedy, but then like he'd only talk to you like if he thought you booked something, like, and like he didn't last long, and I think he just sensed that nobody liked him, Yeah. So it was because it was ridiculous. Like you gotta be like, and that is hard to constantly be part of the community. That's the hardest thing. Like some nights I like to sit by myself. Like you're constantly under pressure to be social and get involved in groups, and that's not for everybody. But you got to do it sometimes, So it's like,
well, I think too, like if you are somebody who like wants to be in comedy, isn't that ultimately like what you have to do once you've even made it anyway? Once you've achieved that goal and you're making the money, you still have to go and hang out with people and do shows all the fucking time. So really, you're kind of just like training yourself for that too. It's the same thing with anything, really. Like, I mean, it just never really ends.
Right.
You got to keep doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, but like you want it also, it's just good for you. It's good to talk to people and meet people. And like, even when you don't feel like doing it, I feel like that might even be like the best time to do it, because that's when things happen that they wouldn't have happened otherwise. Like you put yourself in the position and you didn't want to go out that night, but oh shit, like I met so-and-so and that was great. Last night, I didn't want to go to work and I went to work, dude. And okay, so I'm a server at a restaurant, and there was a pair of Ray-Bans up by the like drink station, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like at first I just see sunglasses or something. I just go around them, And then I went over here a couple times, and there's these Ray-Bans here, and so I waited like a good 20 minutes. I'm like, what's going on here? And then I moved the Ray-Bans somewhere else, and I was thinking if someone asks me, I'll just say like, I'm just making sure they're safe because they're over here at the drink station. I don't want them to get messed up. And then nobody said anything about these Ray-Bans. And like I knew it was probably like a customer who left them behind, and that means they never came back for them. So I'm like, bro, I made sure to claim them early.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to go to work yesterday.
Right.
That made my whole shift worth it. You know what I'm saying? Like I was thinking throughout the day, at least I got these Ray-Bans today because I've never had Ray-Bans before. It's kind of exciting for me.
Right.
So, Ray-Bans are like I the most expensive sunglasses I've ever had is $50. I never even realized there's like a scale to sunglasses until I had those. It's like $50 sunglasses are actually like not even that good on the scale, I think is how it goes. You have to pay at least $100 for good sunglasses.
Yeah.
Dude, this fucking
that's nice.
What do you call it when people are I don't know. What we were saying earlier though about material possessions,
Yeah.
But actually, it does make me sad because I do want the $300 sunglasses.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes, but
I've done plenty of mushrooms, but I still want the $300 sunglasses.
Yeah, right. No, I'm no like more monk or anything. I waste a lot of fucking money on shit, but it's something to aspire. Just a general philosophy. Like, I used to just buy so much shit, but yeah, I mean, like what you're saying there, like comedy, like it's you never know. Like when you might get an opportunity, like that's happened to me a couple times where I've like felt really bad, like, oh, am I even gonna go out to the mic tonight? And then someone offers you a spot on a show, or it's just something that will happen to keep you going. And like you got to keep being out there because like people will just give something to people that they see.
Yeah. And you don't, and like, again, like you couldn't predict it happening. Like you have to just go and do it to have it happen. Yeah.
Just like somebody that I didn't even know I was on their radar, they might just say, oh, you want to do this show, Yeah. Because I don't really submit yet. Like I'm mostly just getting spots like off open mics and just people seeing me multiple times. But that's a whole nother part of the game that is submitting to get on shows.
And what is that? Like you have to send clips and stuff?
Yeah, like send a clip to producers and stuff. And I haven't done that much, but
it can't be that hard. I mean, I imagine like they don't have like it's not like a crazy standard. They're probably used to getting those like phone clips, and as long as it's like well recorded enough. Like, or I noticed that like some of these like bigger venues, they'll post the clips on Instagram and tag you. Like if you ever had one of those, that'd definitely probably be a good one.
Yeah.
'Cause you just want to get like a good enough looking thing to send them. That'd probably be all you'd really need.
Yeah.
Like, I look. Yeah.
And I do have good enough stuff. Like I never get like really meticulous about like taping my stuff because I'm just not worried about it. Like my philosophy is to just get better at comedy, But also a lot of the stuff in Chicago, at least, is the comics are booking the shows, so the bookers, so they're a lot of the producers. So if you submit to them, it's like, oh yeah, I've seen them, and they probably won't even watch your clip, But
right
for the stuff I'd be trying to get on at my level right now, yeah.
And again, like meeting everybody, like by going out and just showing up all the time, you already know all these people. So yeah. I mean and you still though, I don't even think like I wonder where the money is in comedy because I know that you don't make like a ton off of those shows even. Like I have to imagine it's like the big venues is when you start making like hundreds per night. Right?
Yeah. I think you can make. Like you get like a cut as the door, I think, and like you can make a few thousand a night.
Wow, really?
I think, but that's rare. I don't know who's doing that, and it's just I don't know what people make really like in this city, like who makes the most and how they're making it. In terms of like, especially if you talk about like just stand up and not like social media stuff or whatever.
Yeah, because social media, I guess, is a whole other thing now. Like I've had people tell me like you can make a lot off Instagram, and I had no idea you could do that.
Yeah,
I always thought it was just like you make like $10 a month.
Yeah,
unless you have 1 million followers. That's not what I'm hearing, so I don't know.
Yeah,
and I mean like. It's that's why like Patreon, like if you could find a way, like you could film your set and say, hey, you can hear my whole exclusive set on Patreon. Like you could come up with ways to just make up something. And I bet some people might buy into it. But like stuff like that to me seems like the only way. Outside of like merchandise and then ticket sales. And ticket sales would be bigger venues, I would guess. Right. I don't know where it would be, or maybe like with these, like, because I know they do these sketch shows and they do like shows they'll put together. So maybe if it's like a special show, like there's something that oh man, her name's not gonna come to me right now. McD, but she does a thing called Comedy and Caviar.
Oh, Kelly McGee.
Kelly McGee, that's what it is, yeah. And that seems like it would be like, you could probably get people to pay a decent amount there. So maybe something like that you'd make it smart.
Yeah, like, because, yeah, you could produce your own stuff, and make money that way, or
Oh,
just
that
gain
too.
exposure. Yeah, you could have a really good eye for that, But a lot of times, producing and like the comedy, I mean, they're way different skills. So it's tough because like I think. I mean, they're way different skills, so like the best, most successful shows don't always have the comics that I don't know.
No, I know what
I'm
you
not
mean.
trying to say anything bad, but it's just like it's like I tried doing a show and I love the comedy part, but man, like the promoting and all that is just like it's work, It's like. But some people really like that. Even just like making fun videos online, all that stuff is it's just like, it's a lot of work, So,
Of course, yeah. And if you're trying to like really promote a show, because I mean, I feel like if you wanted to do it right, you'd like promote hard. Like if it were me, I would be I'd make flyers, I'd go all over the place. I would like post videos about it. I'd make posts. I'd like hype it up.
Yeah.
I would try because I want people to actually show up. So I feel like, but if you have like, if you're doing 10 million other things, if you're a comedian and you're going out to a bunch of open mics, you got fucking time to produce a show.
And like, that's fun to keep getting better at the jokes. Yeah, because like, like the first show I produced, like I like sucked at the comedy because I was like so distracted by other shit.
You're like trying to make sure
It was,
everything
like,
goes
not
right.
a good set at all. Like I couldn't remember my jokes.
Because you were just thinking about everything else.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
That's how I remember I put a show together once. Like it was a bunch of music. But I remember like throughout the show, it was way worse than any other show I'd ever like been to because I couldn't even like think about anything but making sure this whole thing runs smoothly. Like I'm like running back and forth the whole time. Like, I could not enjoy it. I could not just chill out.
Yeah.
Not even for like 5 minutes.
Right.
I had to like make sure. Wait, why is so and so not here? Oh fuck! What are we gonna do for those 15 minutes? All right.
Yeah.
Let's come up with something.
And then it's like if it's a weekly or a monthly, so you do it, and wow, you put all this into it. Now you do it again. Like there's just another one coming up that you have to promote again. It's just like I just right now. If you do produce, you have to like find people to work with who have like complementary skills. I think like maybe not just like your best friend who thinks exactly like you. Like I think that's a big thing I'm learning is just to appreciate and value people's different competencies. Like
yeah, because like people fill in the gaps that you might have. Yeah.
And then you might end up doing something funny together or meaningful. It's like, and you just realize talents that you don't have, or they see things that you don't, or it's just, so it's good. It's good to be open-minded within those social, the social setting. Don't judge people too severely. Like a lot of people do, like you're seeing people all the time. Like I've had my bad drunken moments or like gotten angry at people. It's like I feel bad. Like you can't like judge someone based on like one thing. It's like, especially when it's like artists trying shit, and I do think comedy is an art and not everyone treats it that way. I do think stand-up is an art, like especially like the way certain people do it. Some people are more like scientific, like writing but it's still an art, so I don't know, people get a little volatile sometimes when they're artists. I think, I don't know, just keep an open mind and be willing to see what's better about people. I think
I always try to look like for the best possible interpretation of things. And for me, that's always worked out. Like I've never, ever, like it makes it so you can communicate with everybody and you can at least learn something from, like maybe even like if they're wrong, you can learn something about the way they think.
Yeah.
Like you want to ask people questions that don't like discourage them from sharing. Like you want to learn from people, you always do. And so like with for me, that's always been like, because I'll talk to anybody, dude, for real. Like as long as they're not trying to like punch me in the face,
right?
Like if you told me that you thought like the aliens are going to invade tomorrow and you know why, I would tell you like, please share with me the details of that, because I actually want to know where you heard that from.
Yeah, I'd want to hear why someone thinks that, but
and you never know, like you learn things from anybody,
right?
So and
right.
like and like what you said about having somebody who can fill in the gaps and like be collaborative, that doesn't think like you. Like you never know what someone might come up with, and it's better if they don't think the way you do. If they do disagree with you on some things and you don't think side by side on everything, like you want that difference to kind of pop out. And like artists are different naturally. Every fucking person who's making music or doing comedy or an actor, like they all think differently than like the average person. That's why they're doing that, because they think in this weird way. Like almost always, like you don't usually see like a totally normal dude, just totally casual, that's in like an industry like that. You just don't see it. And so like you kind of have to like accept that and then like enjoy that about it, because I like when people just say wild shit. I find it to be the most entertaining thing ever. Like I want to surround myself with those people. They give me ideas, as we're saying, you know. I'd let them help me produce shows.
No, I like some comics, like if they come off as like too conventional or like healthy or well adjusted, it's like I don't trust you.
Are you a serial killer? What's going on here? It's like Ted Bundy. How much longer do you have here? I don't know how much longer we got. Let's see. It's 11:44. Do you have to be out of here by a certain time?
Maybe 12:30, something like that.
All right, cool. But yeah, like I just imagine like it's interesting too, because for me, like that's where a lot of growth would come from, is from meeting people and from like talking to people and learning about the way other people think. Like that's where it's like when they I think it's advice they give to authors. It's like you can't write a good book until you've like lived enough life experience. Like I think you have to actually actively live that difference and like meet people and see things and feel things. Being in a place like this is kind of why I moved to Chicago, is because I can feel a lot of things happening. I can like be inspired by so many things all at once. You don't get that in like a smaller area.
I know.
It doesn't exist.
I just love the city. I mean, living in the city, I've lived in a lot of different places, and like I just love the shit you might see from day to day. And there's just like so much humanity on display. I mean, like it's like all people talk about in the city is like violence, but there's just like so much more, you know, like exceptional shit happening all the time, you know, like and like I almost never encounter violence, but like always like interesting people like in close proximity, living their lives, or just people helping each other mostly in this city. I think these small neighborhoods, there's a real sense of community. Like that old idea of like kids staying out, like riding their bikes and shit, like under the street. Like that happens in cities, you know, it doesn't happen in like suburbs, and like those places are more closed off, I feel like.
But the city gets a bad rep.
The city's like the, you know, like the conservatives who like bash on like the cities and how nothing's safe, and like I don't know, I think the cities still have a lot of like the old school community elements that tend to appeal. You know, you walk down to the park and play Little League. You don't always have to get into a car, you know. I mean, there's just like a lot, just families living close by for years on the same block and stuff.
It does seem really communal. Like the entire city of Chicago seems like a big, like giant communal place. Like even if you go to like a bar, it seems like everybody at this bar knows everybody else at this bar.
And I guess my neighborhood is more like this experience, you know, where it's like not like a very trendy like social neighborhood or anything down on the west side, you know.
But is that good or bad? Do you like
good.
that?
It's good, yeah. Like I feel like it's home. Like I bounced around so many every year or two, different cities, different states, in Chicago, in Illinois, and elsewhere. And then I just got to this place almost 9 years ago in heart of Chicago neighborhood, near like Cermak and Western, and like I was just like, okay, I'm not good, because I would not feel good, and then I would just like run from try to go somewhere else, and like try to find something better. But I was like, I'm not gonna move from this apartment until like I fix it, you know. And it took me like until I figure out like how to be content, you know. Like I'm not gonna just keep going for shit. I'm gonna address my mental health or whatever. And it took me a lot of years, and now I feel like I've done that, and like I've just like become part of that. That's my home now. I don't want to live anywhere else. I've invested 9 years into that neighborhood, and I don't really go out and talk to people, but people, I mean, like I don't make it like the effort. Like I'm not like knocking on neighbors' doors when I move in, or like making small talk. Like it just happens, but that takes a long time to you know, build those roots to develop.
Yeah, yeah, and those roots don't like replant themselves. You know, it takes a long time. Yeah, that's a good point. It's but there's, I think it goes like two ways, because one, you're right, but two, like I always think about like the fallacy of sunk cost, right? Because you could think that in any situation in life, and you might miss out on things. Like that could have stopped me from moving here if I thought, oh, you know what, I could move to Chicago, but all my family lives here. Like I have a lot of roots here, so it's like you have to do a calculation in your head whether or not it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely take risks, see new things, new experiences, you know, but just like don't be running from stuff. Don't be avoiding stuff, you know, like that's what I was doing. Like avoiding like fixing things that, you know, because I didn't know how either, like to get healthier in a lot of ways. So, but no, it's just now I just value where I live so much, and there's just so like people I see in the community will do anything for each other. They all know each other, and they're so close to each other, and that never happened like growing up. I mean, in the suburbs, I don't know. Everyone's just such a clique within their own family. It seems like that's how it was where I grew up.
Yeah, I think there's something about it's like in a smaller community, or in like especially in like a poorer community, like just the less you have, the more you appreciate the people around you in like a community, in a communal way. Like there's something that happens where like people look at things differently in those types of places. I think it makes like a realer, like it's almost more down to earth. Like they want to look out for each other. Whereas like if you're in like a giant, if you're in a giant net of people, and like if everybody's doing well, or if you're in like a giant city, it becomes like a little bit harder to think that way sometimes, because you see a million people all the time. So like small towns that are poor, I feel like that's where you get like the most soulful people, is like where, because they're not thinking about all the shit that we're thinking about.
Yeah, a lot of time I think so. Yeah.
But like, and also poor, but like those poor communities, like you get like a reality out of those people too.
Right.
Like they have, I think you have to struggle in a way. Like you have to, and it's so good to have things to I don't know, like you need things to keep you going in life.
Well, like people have fun everywhere, like in the West Side, or like neighborhoods that might be considered rougher. Like the gas stations are fun as fuck, dude. I'm telling you, people just go in there and have a fuck ton of fun interacting with the guy who works there, or people just hang out, and there's like slot machines, and like it's fun as fuck, dude. Like people are making jokes with each other and shit.
But like the gas station itself,
they're just like community hubs. Like everyone knows everybody. It's awesome, dude.
That is pretty cool, dude.
Yeah.
That's even better than I expected. So like you could just go up to the car wash and like fucking everybody's there having a party.
Yeah, they're all like hanging around the tickets, you know, the like scratching off their lottery tickets, talking to each other and shit.
Yeah, that's cool. I imagine like yeah, that would keep you around. That'd keep you around. Okay, that makes sense. It's like everybody there. Every time I go get a Slurpee, I see the same 20 people.
Yeah.
How could I ever leave? I'd have to break the news to them. I have to say, guys, and you don't even know where you'd go. Probably that's like the question after that too. Is like, where would I even move to? Is there any other area in the city that you've been interested in, like that you would have, like if you had to move, was there a place you'd want to go?
Well, I mean, I lived in the past in like Logan Square, like before it got really cool and everything. But I mean, I like a lot of neighborhoods, like. But I like it's like centrally located, but I mean, I would live in like certain southwest side, maybe. I don't know, like midway areas. Like if I ever got a house or something. But no, I like where I am. I would move, but I don't really want to live like along the lake on the north side, honestly. Like Rogers Park is okay. I mean, but I don't really like that much like Lakeview or like Gold Coast and like shit like that, or like Lincoln Park. I'm not too into that stuff.
Because it's like different everywhere. So
Yeah.
is it just like the community aspect of it, like the way that place feels compared to where you are?
Yeah, I like more diversity too.
Yeah.
Like my neighborhood is like mostly Mexican, but there's a lot of white people and black people, and it's just mostly people who like are working, like it's getting more gentrified, I guess, like a little bit newer places, but I tell you, like the new buildings, when they get built like on lots that were empty, and they're expensive. Like I see people moving in and out of those places like every year, because I think those people who want to pay for a nicer apartment like want a different neighborhood. It's not fancy or anything.
I see. So they just like move in and move out kind of thing. Huh.
But there's like old school Italian restaurant like down. It's Heart of Italy. It's also known as Heart of Chicago, Heart of Italy. But like on Oakley, like in the neighborhood, there's like 3 or 4 like really old school, authentic Italian restaurants.
And they're really
like
good.
A block off Western, down at like 24th, 25th in Oakley.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good shit over there.
You've had this many a times?
No, not often, but it's a special thing.
Is it expensive?
No, they're like really cheap, because it's like really, well, there's like different tiers. Like I forget which, like Ignatz is really good, and that's like more reasonable price, but so good. But then there's one of them is like, I think like Bacchanalia, it's like really expensive one, like high end, but it still would be like cheaper for like comparable food in like the West Loop or something. It's like that type of quality, but like in a smaller neighborhood where you wouldn't expect restaurants.
Yeah. And then like are the areas like have you been like around your neighborhood? Is it like similar all around there? It's kind of just the same kind of like, or is it different if you go like 4 blocks down? I don't know. I don't know like the location you are on a map.
Yeah, no, it's like, so if you go to Western Avenue, it's straight down. So it's pretty much almost the geographic center of Chicago, like Western and Cermak. So west of me, then is Little Village, and east of me is Pilsen. So Pilsen is more nightlife and restaurants and things. But I mean, a lot of people just say Pilsen where I live, because no one knows where Heart of Chicago is, but it's like a distinct neighborhood to then Pilsen or Little Village. It's like kind of just residential, except for those like old school Italian restaurants a lot, and like it's not as much like bars and things like that, and mix of homes and apartments. But like then Pilsen is kind of more trendy, And Little Village is more like, like the Mexico, the Midwest. It's more got like more the authentic, like Mexican, like 26th Street and stuff like that. And and then it's probably like a little more dangerous the more west you go from me. And Douglas Park then is right to my west also, where Riot Fest.
It's right there.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, so
I didn't know it was over there. I never knew where they did it.
Yeah. So that's like four blocks away from me. Is Douglas Park.
You can't like sneak in though. There's no way.
Well, I worked for the freak show. Like they needed locals to help them just set up their tent like a couple years, and I worked with them. Hell's a Poppin' circus sideshow or whatever.
Really?
Yeah, so I did work setting up and taking down a couple years.
Are you able to like hang out though and like enjoy it in between?
No, I think like I could have got in at one point, but I didn't. But I would hang out with those guys like the Lizard Man and like the Sword Swallower and shit. Those guys were cool as hell.
See, those are the people I need on this podcast, dude.
Yeah.
I want a sword swallower.
Hell yeah.
They would be
someone will come to an open mic sometime.
Yeah, for real. Like anything. Like, because those are like, those freak show things are like the wildest people. Like, you get like the best of people talking to them. I can only imagine the people you talk to. Like you talk to the bearded lady. Like, what's it like?
Yeah,
you ever ride the subway? What happens?
Like the guy I talked to, like to set it up the first time, he's like, yeah, my name's Shorty. Yeah, you'll know me when you see me. And then I get there and there's a guy with no legs. Like he's just walking around on his hand. Oh, you're Shorty. Okay.
That is hilarious.
Yeah. And they're just like really chill people, like so confident with themselves.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, they're like turning an L into a dub, right? Like they figured out how to make their thing work. I got no legs, but this is...
Yeah, and some of them just did like bad at... They're normal people who just like, oh, I'm going to breathe fire, like this. So they're fucking out there. That's cool as hell.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Breathing fire.
Yeah.
Sword swallowing is crazy.
Yeah.
It is actually crazy. And I think like... you're familiar with Andy Kaufman, right?
Yeah.
Dude, have you ever seen the clip of him doing sword swallowing on some like Tonight Show? I can't. It was
maybe I have, but I don't remember it. Yeah.
like, I was trying to think of like, is there any like normal person, like any person who doesn't normally do that's never done that? And I think he's like one of the only ones where like, look, a random ass celebrity, like some comedian comes out and swallows a sword. I could never imagine myself doing that for any reason.
I'm not doing that shit. No.
What if someone would pay you like $1 million to do sword swallowing? Would you do it for $1 million?
No,
I wouldn't either.
I don't think I physically could. Like
I'd kill myself
yeah,
somehow.
It's like my gag reflex.
I don't know, but I think there's got to be a technique.
Yeah,
like you just go up and then down.
Nah, I'm not doing that shit. No.
I don't think you could pay me any amount of money to do it. Yeah, I wonder. Like, there are people who would do it.
Right.
I'm not one of them.
Yeah,
it's so crazy. I think you just have to get like the angle right. I think it's something about getting the angle right, and sometimes they'll bend over a little bit. They'll do it, and then they'll bend over a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
It's not even a question of like being willing, like to do it. Like I don't think I could. Like.
Yeah, I would die.
Yeah, like I would pass out or something. Like seeing it, like I would just not be able to know that was going down my throat. Yeah, I just couldn't possibly do
it. You'd faint.
Yeah.
That'd probably be like the worst case.
It'd kill you, yeah.
Yeah.
You can't faint with a sword down your esophagus.
No, dude. But yeah, the great Andy Kaufman. I think he swallowed a sword and then he like sang some Elvis song. I'm pretty sure it was like something like that.
Yeah.
Andy Kaufman's probably like he's like one of the greatest entertainers of all time, if you ask me. Like I think like people probably think he's overrated, but there's just no way. He kind of like invented that kind of that type of performance where nobody would really do that. They would go on stage and like reject an audience.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's cool. Like you kind of have to. It's not about them reacting positively. It's about them reacting at all. Like he made that philosophy exist.
Yeah. Oh, but don't do that in stand-up. Like people try to do that in stand-up,
And they
like,
fail.
Yeah, I mean, it is about reacting positively. They don't. It doesn't have to be positive material, but like people who just like go out there and they think they're doing their job just by getting a reaction.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that is not stand-up, you know?
These people want to kill you
Yeah.
right now, dude.
And Andy Kaufman was doing a whole nother thing, not stand-up. But, you know, it's, yeah, I mean, who knows what he might have done, you know? Unfortunate that he died.
It is so unfortunate. Yeah. Him and Bill Hicks again.
Yeah. I
'cause
mean, it's just...
I feel like both of them were kind of ahead of their time in a strange way. And like they inspired comedy in a lot of ways.
Right.
Like Bill Hicks the same way as George Carlin sort of, and then also with someone like Kaufman, I think again it's like the unconventional approach that a lot of people like now you see it all over the place.
Yeah.
Now people try all sorts of things, but back then it was like there was a format to comedy that Andy Kaufman just destroyed.
Yeah. Imagine though, like Bill Hicks could be like the top comic. He could be like 64 or 65 years old, whatever he'd be.
Still spitting knowledge.
Yeah.
That would be crazy.
Yeah.
People think, have you ever seen the conspiracy that Bill Hicks died and Alex Jones is actually Bill Hicks? Have you ever seen that? People really think that.
God.
Because their voices are close enough and you just got to watch two clips next to each other, dude. They're the same guy.
People act like Bill Hicks or like Carlin would like Trump or like be like Alex Jones. I'm like, you're so full of shit. You're totally missing the point. Like,
I think he would just hate on all of it. I think if Bill Hicks was still around, he would just make fun of the absurdity of all of it.
Yeah,
I don't think he would pick a side.
Like those guys could see through bullshit more than anybody. You know, they're not gonna fall for Trump's bullshit.
Yeah, I think like comedy. One thing I think like about the best comedians, the people who like break through the mold and like speak in such a way. I think it's like you're able to acknowledge things in the consciousness that everybody knows is true, but you can't like put your finger on it. Like a great comedian is usually really like emotionally in touch. Like they're able to like assess things in a spiritually correct way.
Yeah.
But
Right.
it's like, you know, that's like the mastery of comedy. That's like when you've done everything else and now you can just like communicate the truths to people in a funny way.
Right. You're not like overtly saying this is the truth. Like that gets bad. Like people, but you're like find a way to touch on the truth of it that resonates, you know.
Exactly.
And makes the point you're trying to make.
And that's the art form of it in my mind.
Right.
Like that's where you have to like, you know, paint. You have to you have to paint a picture and create and like use artistry to kind of do that in its own way, whatever your way is.
In the shortest time possible to set the scene and then get to the funny part. You know, so that it lands. Yeah, it's very difficult. I mean,
especially if you're trying to like make a point. Especially if you're trying to say something with an ultimate meaning. That's impressive when people can pull that off. Like they do a 5-minute set and they like throughout the whole set they're like setting up one idea. Like it's all following one idea.
Yeah.
To me that's like, I mean it's like I don't know. I wonder like it's like you kind of have to like obsess over the idea in a way, like think around the idea and come up with a bunch of concepts around it. You know, that's kind of like my way of thinking about it is like, you don't say it directly. You never say like exactly what you're thinking. You say things around it and you kind of find a way to make it to the middle through that. Like, and what's so interesting about that for me with like songwriting is like you'll get different interpretations of what your song is. Like nobody really knows what, like, sure, it's what the words say. It's just like a great poem. Like the words say this thing, and you can read it this way, but ultimately it could mean all kinds of things to all kinds of people. And like if you can find a way to walk that line, like there's a sort of universality to it. Like you don't have to know exactly what I was thinking when I wrote this. Like just like presenting like a political opinion in a comedy set. Like you don't really want to know what I think, but it's just what's funny about the situation. Like you have to find a way to walk the line. Because I mean, to me, it's always tough. Like I feel like politics and comedy and like saying like, you know, trying to be like say what the right thing is. You have to be careful because like you have to like find a way to make it work funny. Like, cause it's not just about if it works in this room. It's like, would it work on a grand scale?
Right.
Like, would it work to everybody? Cause sometimes you could say like the fucking, you could,
And that's the masters, who work for everybody, right?
Yep.
There's so few people.
yeah. And like, sometimes
who
I
can
think
work
that
for every audience.
when I see like some comedy around here, I'm like, man, like that worked in here in this room.
Yeah.
I don't think that would work in Texas though.
Yeah, right.
I don't think if you took that over to Miami.
Or it work here in Rogers Park. You can't do that's not gonna work in Logan Square.
Exactly.
Like seriously, you know.
You're joking about the squirrels outside.
Yeah, like this worked in Bucktown. Like I will go get stared at now in Boys Town. You know, like by the whole audience. So.
And that's kind of like part of it too, I'd imagine, is like making the joke work in most settings, like finding a way to kind of make the joke work everywhere. Yeah, because everywhere is different, or at least like learning how to adapt stuff. Because I mean, I don't know, like. I have to imagine that would be crazy, like touring the country. You'd have to do that shit all the time. It's every single state is so different. Like, what the fuck do you say if you're here today and then in, Minnesota tomorrow and then Washington, D.C. after that? What do you say to people that live in Washington, D.C.?
Yeah.
Hey, guys, how about that? Obelisk outside? Very cool, right? Yeah. Well, would you have like an ultimate goal for comedy then, or do you just think about like enjoying it right now?
No, I mean I want to support myself. I just want to follow where it takes me. But no, I just want to go, and just keep getting better and keep loving it. And I did 4 open mics last night. It's just as long. I never have I been doing something this long and still just. Volunteering, like going out to do it 4 times, like any job, like I'd be done. I'd be like ready to leave it by now. So I guess just keep doing that. And I just want to be really unique. It's not about like any success, like through bookings or external validation. I just want to do something I feel good about that I know is funny. And I think that like the success I've already had, like that, it's gonna like take care of itself if I just follow like a true path to being as funny as I can and trying to do something unique.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think it like falls into place. Like that's what's like you'd think like everything would happen. It's kind of like what I was saying before about like the butterfly effect thing. Like everything happens in this weird way where if you just do like 3 things that are good, like other good things come along. Yeah. And I think that like if you think that way, rather than like obsessing over it. Like for me, one thing I have to remind myself is I constantly think, okay, I'm going to meet my wife one of these days. Like I got to meet my wife and it's all going to be great. I can't be thinking that way. My wife's going to just naturally come to me while I'm doing other things. That's what's going to happen. If I look at every single girl I meet as like, you could be my wife, then I'm going to like torture myself for the rest of my life. Right. I can't keep doing this. So I have to stop doing that and stop thinking that way. But it's like, it's easy to create these ideas and these like ideal things. Yeah. But I mean, it happens naturally and like through doing it, through just going out there and being at all those open mics, like we were saying before. Yeah. 4 open mics in a night's quite a bit too. I thought 3 was a lot. 4 is a decent amount.
Good. I think I've done 5 before, but it's been a while since I've had a 4 mic night, but yeah, I mean, some people go out and they want to get booked, and it's nice to get booked as a sign you're heading in the right direction, but that's just going to come from being... The end game's got to be funny, because people get booked and get satisfied with that, and that's not going to happen to me. Like, I can't just do the same shit over and over again. I have to constantly be changing.
I think that's a great thing, like a great quality to have. And I think like if you looked at most successful people, that's usually the like the problem with them is that they're always thinking about like the next thing that they're going to do and they're never satisfied with what they did. Yeah. I think that's like, even though it's like mental torture, it's probably actually really good for you because you're constantly doing things. Like I'm the same way. It's awful.
At least like in art, maybe you just really love doing the art and that's what you're born to to do. Like, it's not like business maybe where you're just like
That's true.
never satisfied, and then you take it out on the wife, you know.
Can't take it out on the spreadsheets.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, like, and it's ultimately though, like, you're always looking forward to something. You're always trying to get somewhere. You're always moving up, and you want to be doing that. You don't want to get complacent. Like, you don't want to feel like you achieved what you wanted to achieve. Like, I always try to think, like, you know, because I have it in myself where it's like, you'll think like one day I'm going to be successful and then everything's going to be good, but it's like, that's not even like right now we're doing what we're going to be doing when we're successful anyway.
Yeah.
And nothing's ever going to change.
Right. That's true.
It's always going to be this.
Just get more time. I mean, that's the good thing about book is you get more time. It's like for a stand-up, it's way more fun to do 15 than 10, and like you start to cook and really get to explore. So that is why I want to get booked more, to just get the opportunity to do more time.
And you probably get more endurance like that. Like you can kind of, you know, you're confident I can go up for 15 minutes. Because I'm sure a lot of comedians are like, shit, like more than 10 minutes is probably crazy. Yeah.
So I always go outside my comfort and always try new stuff. So.
Yeah, it's a great idea. And it's like you test yourself in that way too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like you have to do that. You have to kind of like do things you would think you wouldn't do just to see if you can.
Yeah. You got to find out what makes you naturally funny, I think.
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't work.
Yeah. But and the failure is good too though. Like that's again, it's like a bad trip, you know? You got to learn from it. You got to look at those negatives positively, you know? You got to say you can't be my friend anymore.
Yeah, you got to learn from the bombs, that's for sure. You got to everything has value. Like even an open mic with 4 people, you might get something out of it. So.
Yeah. Well, all right, man. We can wrap this one up. Dude. But I always let the guest. If you got a final message for the people, you got something you want to send them home with, and also you got to make sure you tell them those social medias. They listen to you for about 2 hours now. They should at least know who you are. Here, let's get this mic right up to you.
All right, there we go. All right. Well, social, Instagram, Mike the Dwyer, Dwyer, and I think it's just always keep an open mind, move forward, and I'm just trying to have fun, and get better at comedy, and I just think that, never give up on like finding the thing that makes you feel like you're doing something meaningful in life, so I just want to get better at it because this is what I like doing. So
hell yeah. Where can they find you? Instagram, is there anywhere else?
Well, I host Big Easy Open Mic every Tuesday at Easy Inn on Western.
Hell yeah.
I got different shows and shit. Hit me up on Instagram.
I wouldn't be allowed to rap at this open mic, would I? Would I be allowed to walk in and rap? Would it be allowed?
I think you could. Yeah.
Oh, so maybe you'll see Ruse at this open mic.
All right.
Then.
Yeah, dude.
If they allow me to do it, I'll do it.
If you come, you can rap. Yeah.
You saw it. I got permission on camera.
All right.
This is evidence.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but everybody.
Well, I heard you do some sick comedy rap. Anyway, you like riff on other people.
You weren't there though, right? You came in after.
Man, I know.
It made me sad because so that was like so. The thing is, like, I can bullshit freestyle wherever, right?
Yeah.
So I was thinking, like, I didn't realize, like, that's, like, the perfect place for that. Like, they want you to freestyle.
Yeah.
So, but I had the great idea of, while everybody's going, like, I can't go first. I have to wait till I'm, like, 10th or 15th, right?
Yeah.
And then as everybody goes, I'll write down things that they say, and then I'll, like, incorporate all of that into a freestyle.
Yeah.
And that's why they loved it.
Yeah,
because
I heard it was awesome.
Yeah.
I was sorry I missed it that night. Yeah.
Dude, oh, they were so proud of me in that room. They were like, "What? You're not supposed to do good in here. What's going on?" Like,
yeah. It's tough.
Yeah, and then it's funny because again, folks, we'll doubt ourselves and we'll tell ourselves that we can't do things, and then you go out there and you do things. It goes great. I was sitting there the whole time like, damn, I don't know if this is gonna work. I don't know if this is gonna like pan out right,
Yeah.
Dude. Oh yeah, I killed that shit. I said because they said somebody said something about Austin, Texas. They said Austin, Texas, they're all doing ketamine. And then the host says, yeah, you know, they're all doing ketamine on Wednesdays. And then he said, I only do ketamine on Thursdays. And so, like, there's a clip. I wish I recorded the whole thing, but the clip is like, I freestyled. I said, I mean, on my worst day, catch me doing ketamine on a Thursday. And everybody goes, ah! Yeah, folks. And so the point is, you got to find what you're good at. You got to find what you're good at. Like you said, there's something for everybody. I think that's the beautiful thing of the world, is that there is something for everybody. It's just whatever it is. That's why you talk to people, you learn about things. Some guy could talk to you about plumbing for 2 hours and he would love every second of it. There's all kinds of things in the world that we're interested in. And you never know what it is until you figure out what it is. So always be on the lookout for that. Be on the lookout for yourselves, folks. All right? And thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being here, sir.
Yeah, man.
With that being said, Ruse Radio. Clocking out.
I got the world in my pocket, got a girl on my arm, got an eye in my socket, whirlwinds in my palms. I'm a free man. Let me lead you along. I can show you something different. Let me sing you a song. Ain't no algorithm touch me. Ain't no palace this lovely. I find a way to find a way out.